Elon Musk is the king of all controversies at this point. On top of that, he's known to be tough competition in the tech world. And while we're at it, let's not forget his war with Apple over Twitter. Even though the matter seemed to calm down as quickly as it escalated, there's much more to the story. And in this video, we're going to tell you everything you need to know about the potential war. First off, it might be nothing more than a misunderstanding. It turns out the billionaire confirmed that he and Apple boss Tim Cook had resolved their misunderstanding over Twitter possibly being removed from the App Store. You heard that right, folks? That's where it all started. If anything, his Twitter takeover has stirred up way more controversy than we expected. Recently, Musk accused Apple of threatening to cut the platform from its App Store. Needless to say, it halted the majority of its advertising on the site. 4 days later, the Twitter CEO tweeted, "Tim was clear that Apple never considered doing so, but he never talked about whether Apple's advertising was discussed at the meeting or not."
Twitter is a war zone. If somebody's going to jump in the war zone, it's like, okay, you're in the arena. Let's go.
Now, the meeting between the two tech leaders was pretty crucial because many companies have simply stopped spending on Twitter right after they figured out Musk's content moderation plans for the site. Yes, he's been pretty straightforward about it since the very beginning, but honestly, this is a major blow for the social media platform that's relying on this kind of spending for a big chunk of its revenue. And with concerns about his plans, we don't think it's going to settle down anytime soon. Speaking of which, in the Apple versus Musk feud, the billionaire accused the company of censorship and even went as far as criticizing its policies. And that also includes the charge it levies on purchases made on its App Store. Right after Apple stopped advertising on Twitter, Elon just had one question: do they hate free speech in America? Following up, it was a roller coaster of events. Right after all of that, he told his followers that he met with Tim Cook at Apple's headquarters, and it was nothing more than a good conversation. And they also resolved the misunderstanding about Twitter potentially being removed from the App Store. Now, let's not forget that despite the surprisingly great meeting with Apple, Musk also mentioned he faced huge work ahead to bring Twitter into compliance with new European Union rules on disinformation or even face a possible ban. On top of that, EU Commissioner Terry Brayton stepped in during a recent meeting with Musk, saying that the social media site needs to address a number of issues that aren't just limited to content moderation. After all, let's not forget all the misinformation on the site along with targeted adverts.
I guess they're both important. I guess my career is Mars and cars.
Having said that, the Digital Services Act was approved by the EU earlier this year and seems like the biggest overhaul of rules governing online activity in the last few decades. If anything, it imposed a bunch of new obligations on companies in an attempt to prevent further abuse on their platforms. And now major companies are expected to comply with the law about a few months from now as we go into the new year. With that said, if any of these firms violate the law, they're gonna face fines of up to 6% of their global turnover, or worse, a ban with repeated serious breaches. Not to mention, there's a lot of work to be done on Twitter. In a statement after the meeting, Brayton confirmed that he welcomed Musk's assurances and that he was going to get Twitter ready to comply. In fact, he added that Twitter needs to do significantly more than you think, starting with implementing transparent user policies to reinforce content moderation more seriously if they want to protect their freedom of speech. And of course, all of that is going to require sufficient artificial intelligence and human resources, whether we're talking in volumes or skills. Once there's enough progress in all of these areas on the site, Brayton confirmed that he will assess Twitter then. As for the plan for 2023, the EU plans to conduct a sort of stress test right before a wider audit. Coming up, Musk's Twitter takeover changed everything. Ever since his $44 billion takeover of the social media platform, Musk started off with massive layoffs, firing over thousands of employees. And he didn't stop there. Instead, he went on to reinstate formerly banned users like Donald Trump. Plus, he also stopped enforcing other policies like rules specifically designed to stop misleading information on COVID-19. Now, you have to admit, that's a lot of change over the course of 1 month, and there's a lot more to come, so everyone's just preparing themselves at this point. On top of that, you can never be too sure about Musk because he's super unpredictable.
I don't quite understand this whole smart contract thing. I mean,
so
I'm too dumb to understand smart contracts.
As for his actions, many of them have alarmed quite a lot of civil rights groups. In fact, they've accused the billionaire of taking steps that were going to increase hate speech, misinformation, and even abuse. Having said that, in a recent blog post, Twitter confirmed that none of its policies had changed, but it was definitely experimenting to try and improve the platform as quickly as possible. And of course, that's going to rely on steps to limit the spread of anything that violates its rules. All in all, the platform offers freedom of speech, but not not freedom of reach, and the safety team is at its diligent work to keep the platform safe, especially from hateful conduct, any sort of abuse, or any violation of Twitter's rules. Up next, can Musk even afford to go at war with Apple? Sure, the matter cooled down sooner than we expected, but if it hadn't, do you think Musk would have been able to put up a decent fight? As for Apple's Tim Cook, he's shaping up as social media's most effective sheriff, especially with his recent intervention, a threat to remove Twitter from the App Store. We're gonna admit it isn't an idle threat, especially with his loaded pistol pointed directly at an already wounded Elon Musk. But the genius part of his move is that he hasn't said a word about it publicly. In fact, he's left that job for Twitter's new owner Musk, who loves to indulge in any controversy he can anyway. In fact, he's even willing to run the business through public consultation over the social media platform. On top of that, in a series of panicked tweets overnight, Musk went on and on about Apple's threat. And let's not forget that if that were to become a reality, it would make it almost impossible for Twitter to update its app. In turn, that would pose a threat to its distribution channel. On the other hand, Apple has pretty good form on this matter. Back in 2021, it removed the right-wing social media platform Parler from its App Store directly after the attack on the United States Capitol building by Trump supporters. Later on, Parler was reinstated, but Apple's actions were pretty influential and prevented the site from gaining wider traction. What's more, this isn't the first time for Apple. If anything, the company has absolutely no problem shutting the door to popular apps, and that goes on to show that it wasn't just an empty threat. In fact, the company's already done it for a bunch of popular apps like Fortnite after it took offense to Epic Games selling stuff to users directly over the app. Did you know that is still playing out in the US courts? And if that doesn't convince you, take a look at the damage it has wreaked to Facebook by literally curbing its ability to track users and target them with a bunch of advertisements. Apple's decision to tweak the way ads work on its operating system iOS could literally end up costing Facebook up to $12 billion in revenue this year. And let's not forget how this is going to remove its growth stock credentials. Finally, Apple knows how to play the game with major companies. Marketing itself as a privacy protector has been a pretty deliberate ploy by Apple. Why? Well, to burnish its credentials as a defender of consumer privacy. And if we're talking about the reach of the iPhone along with other Apple devices, Cook literally has all the power he needs to destroy Twitter's already shaky business. But that's if the current war of words takes a turn for the worse. Having said that, other than the threat of banishing Twitter from its App Store, Apple has generally been one of the largest advertisers from the social media platform. And according to Musk, Apple stepped back with most of its advertising.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, good idea for an electric jet.
You do?
Yeah.
Then we'll make it work.
But something to note here is that throughout this temporary chaos, Apple hasn't said a word and has taken on the path of silence. On the other hand, Phil Schiller, who leads the Apple App Store, has also deleted his own Twitter account.
We've been thinking about everything from how do you help kids learn to code in school? How do you create a developer program where anybody can sign up for free, get the tools, and...
So by that, you could say that Musk's business relationship with Apple is choppy waters, and his tweets aren't going to make it any better. That's a wrap for this video. What's your take on Elon Musk and Apple's potential war? Do you think Musk could afford something like this? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and we'll see you in the next one.